Hello everybody, welcome back to another Mortal Jellyfish video. In this video we're going to be going over all of the vending machine items. As you can see, all the vending machine items behind me, and that this game has been going on for 46 minutes. You know we've been sitting here doing some testing. You can even look at my bar. I got a Twirlblade, the carrot cannon, the paint launcher, whatever the heck it's called, and then we had Dodo Birds, but they despawned. That said, today's video is going to dive 100% deep into all of these items and kind of give you some pros and cons of each one and just give you more in-depth detail of what you can do with each one. You can't really necessarily pick a best one because, well, in the first place, the vending machine's not going to let you pick one. That said, I do make Roblox content pretty often, so make sure to like and subscribe for more Roblox content. On that note, let's hop into the video and let's talk about these items. So, Twirlblade, if you play Lucky Block, you know this item. I don't play Lucky Block, so this was my first time playing with it, but basically how this thing is going to work is it works like a long-range sword with a slight cooldown and a special effect that happens on the third hit against a player. So we'll go ahead and show you that now. You'll see that I stab them once, it does 50 damage. You can see that this has quite, you can see that this has quite a longer range than my sword. I cannot hit with the sword, but I can pull this out, and you'll see that was actually the third consecutive hit. So I'll show you that just one more time. You can see that 1, 2, and then when I hit for that third one, it's going to do that spin hit and hit for an extra 25. So 50 base, and then 25 extra on top of that every third hit if they're in range for the spin. I'm going to assume that spin hits everybody nearby as well. The biggest cons to this weapon is just that it has a cooldown bar. You can see every time we stab, you definitely cannot spam this like you can spam a sword. So it's much more of a poke, get out, or poke and then swap to a sword and go in probably is your best bet. That said, it's a pretty nifty weapon, pretty strong considering that you can get it for 8 emeralds out of the vending machine. Considering that this does 50 damage and an emerald sword does 55, this is basically almost equivalent to an emerald sword for under half the price. So if you can get yourself a Twirlblade, it's probably going to be pretty juicy to use. That said, that is about all there is to talk about the Twirlblade. There's nothing too crazy going on here, just a slight cooldown, longer range, and every third hit does an extra 25 damage. There's no reason for me to dive into all the different armors in this video, as I feel like you should just know that the damage will slowly fall off with the higher the armor you get, and I don't want to explain that about each individual item, as that will take us a long time to waste. Next up though, we have the carrot cannon. The range for this is just going to be considered a cross map is what I call it. The Twirlblade had a range of like 7-ish blocks if you count the block you're standing on, the one your enemy's standing on. But yeah, this one basically has cross map range. That's the best way to put it. It can shoot basically anywhere. This one's biggest pros is that it can blow up blocks and it can drill through stuff really well. As you can see, it drilled through all of that stone. It is super nifty for that. It can go through like 4 layers of whatever, as long as it's not blast proof. And then it will do anywhere between like 3 to 65 damage. Now you're like, whoa, that's a little weird. What if it does 3 damage? I don't want that. Well, it's only going to do 3 damage if you almost basically miss your hit. So as long as you're hitting close or hitting them, you can look upwards to hitting somewhere in the 60 to 65 damage range to no armor. That's pretty good. Now, where does this thing fall off? Because that damage is really high, it's got really good range, it breaks blocks, those are all juicy things. This thing's biggest con is that it has limited ammo. When you get one of these to come out of the vending machine, it is only going to come with 12 of these carrots you can see here, and with these carrots, it will shoot all 4. When you shoot all 4, you're going to run out in 3 shots because you get 12 carrots. So 4 times 3, that's 12. That's all you're going to get. You basically get 3 shots with this. Now, something you can do with this, although I'm not sure it's actually plausible in a real game, is you can actually throw your carrots on the ground or in a chest and then take this with 1 rocket, and it will actually just shoot that 1 rocket, and you'll see it hit for 60 damage. Maybe wondering, well, when you shoot 4, why is it not hitting for all 4 of those and like insta-killing people? I don't know exactly what causes it. Occasionally you'll get a double hit, but it'll only do like 60 plus a 25. So sometimes you can get like an 85, but it's very unlikely. We'll try and get one of those here for you. Show you what I'm talking about. See, even with 4 shooting, I'm only getting that 60 damage, and I'm only getting 60 in. Yeah, so sometimes it will double hit. A lot of the time it does not, so don't count on it. For whatever reason, if you decide you want to throw all your carrots on the ground and shoot 1 at a time, you can get the most damage out of it. You won't get as much explosive damage though. You won't break all the blocks nearby. That said, I think that's going to be the end of our talk about the carrot cannon. There's not much more to talk about there. Its biggest con is that it has limited ammo. Next up, we are going to talk about the paint blaster. Now, this paint blaster, it is got about the same range as a sword. It's barely better. It's like maybe one block better than the sword. So you can see that the sword won't hit here, and the paint cannon also still won't hit here. So we'll scoot forward a tiny bit. The sword still isn't hitting, but this can hit. So you can see that it has a tiny bit more range than the sword, because if we scoot forward, you'll see that that sword is able to hit. So it has just a teeny tiny bit, like a half a block to a block longer range than the sword. Something to note though is that this gun is based off your camera angle, not your mouse. So if I hover my mouse, but my camera angle is turned down like this, you'll see that I can't even hit them from right here. So if you're going to use the paint thing, make sure you angle your camera to where your enemy is, or go in first person. Those are going to be our best bets. So something to note about this is that it has unlimited ammo. There's no weakness to the unlimited ammo. You can do as much as you want. It's got a decent knockback. It does like a little double tap hit, 20-20, so it's like 40 damage to no armor. But you may be wondering, so where does this one fall off? Well, it's obviously the damage. It's doing... one shot is equivalent to one hit from a wood sword, so it's basically doing like 2 hits of a wood sword, so it's not super great. The range is obviously worse than both of the other weapons, the Twirlblade and the cannon. It is worse than both of those, so it has the weakest range, has the lowest damage, but it has unlimited ammo. Well, you're like, well, the Twirlblade has unlimited ammo, but this is also more spammable than the Twirlblade, so that's where it comes in handy. And then this can also go through walls, so that's something also interesting to note, considering that things like Pyro were ruined for going through walls. You'll see that this thing can most certainly go through walls. I am pretty confident this goes through 3, and you can see that I easily can shoot through walls with this. Now you do kind of have to stick the gun in the wall to get the maximum range out of it through the walls. Same with flamethrower, because you can stick your flamethrower through walls as Pyro too, with a side note. But yeah, basically you could just shoot through walls with this. I forgot to angle my camera earlier. That's probably what I was missing a lot. But yeah, you can see that you're able to shoot through like three wide of a wall. So yeah, that's basically what this one can do. It can hit through walls. It can have unlimited ammo. It does decent damage, does decent knockback, and has a teeny tiny bit more range than a sword. So without anything else to say about it, it is a pretty nifty weapon. All 3 of the weapons are pretty good from the vending machine. Now you may be wondering, Jelly, why aren't you talking about the ugly Dodo Bird? And that's because it doesn't really fit in the category with these 3 weapons. These are weapons, and the Dodo Bird, despite being maybe considered a weapon, is honestly more of a support, or I don't know, healing utility item, because it gives you shield, double jumps, no fall damage. Let's see if I can get one here real quick for you guys. I think everybody's pretty familiar with dodos as long as you're an older player, you've been around the block a few times. But let's try and get ourselves a Dodo Bird here real quick. Oh my goodness. This is what I mean by, like, you don't get to pick your item in the vending machine. So even if you were to be like, this is the one I want all the time, unless you got tons of emeralds, tons of vending machines, you're going to be working at it for a while. So, the Dodo Bird. Let's talk about what he does despite not being a weapon. So, he's instantly going to notice that I have 40 shield here. He did not give me the 200 health. I changed my health. Don't worry about that. You'll see that he gives me a 40 health shield. Now, there used to be a glitch with these where if you got on them and you got off and got back on, it would reset them. I tested this in a custom game and it no longer does work. So, I'm assuming that when your Dodo dies of its 40 health, it dies for good. Now, what else does this give you? It's going to give you a movement speed boost, so you will be a bit faster than someone who is on foot, and you can kind of tell that here, but not the best. It's not very fast because they did nerf Dodo Bird. You gotta remember, they nerfed Dodo Bird a lot back in the day, so it's not quite as fast as it used to be, but it is still faster than walking on foot. And then what else does it give you? It gives you a double jump, so a lot like the new double jump enchant, you'll see that you have that, although I think this doesn't jump as high. It used to jump a whole lot higher, but they nerfed that as well. But yeah, it still has a double jump, so you can definitely get on top of like 4 or 5 blocks high, probably 6 maybe. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got on top of 4. I don't know if we can do 5. Yeah, so it looks like you can jump 4 blocks. So basically twice as high as you used to be able to go, which is not bad at all. And then the biggest thing I think that this gives you out of anything here is that you can't take fall damage while on a Dodo Bird. So we can go to the moon and we can fall down, no fall damage. So what is the best one here if I had to pick? If I had to pick and put my opinion out there to be critiqued and ripped apart by everybody in the comments, which one would I say I prefer the most? Well, that is going to have to be right off the top of my head. I didn't think about this a lot. I really do like the Paint Blaster just because I miss Pyro being able to go through walls. But I don't know. They all kind of have different uses. Like if I got one, I would use each one in a different way. They're all really good. But I think Paint Blaster is my favorite. It just is kind of cool. Very spammable, very useful for good knockback, a little more range than a sword. Can go through walls. There's good utility with it. I like the Carrot Cannon, but running out of ammo kills me inside. I don't want to spend 8 emeralds to only get 3 shots with this thing. And then the Twirlblade, it's good, but I think I'd rather just pearl on people and spam sword on top of them. That said, Dodo Bird is always good. You can't go wrong with extra shield, double jumps, movement speed, and no fall damage. That said, guys, that is going to wrap up this video here about the vending machines in Roblox Bedwars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If this video did help you in any sort of way, I would appreciate if you slap that like button and maybe consider subscribing. On that note, let's wrap up this video with thanking those YouTube members. So, thank you Mama Peace, thank you Redwood Deadwood, thank you Axolotl, thank you A9 Gaming, and thank you Darkest Troller. Thank you all so much for being members of the channel. It does help out a ton, and on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.